The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now just about 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked onto the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are.
Culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as you always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we had to say thank you to those that went before us. And we're not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and say it with the chest that Columbus lied. But we also saying thank you to our brother Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
Precipitation Preparedness, right?
Right here now. This was a wet weekend. Here in Trinidad and Tobago that would have extended to Monday as well. And some of us spend the weekend doing ice bucket challenges. Others would have spent the weekend mopping up from heavy levels of precipitation within their areas. And then there are some that would have spent the weekend using it as a political opportunity.
I'm listening.
You didn't see those kind of things?
Yeah, I've curated my algorithm, you know.
Well,
okay, I didn't do it. It curated itself.
Well, my algorithm did not curate from since April the 28th.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I miss?
No, just the usual. The floods are caused due to lack of funding received from past administrations. The floods are due to lack of infrastructural development and things and so forth. Now, I'm not politicizing anything here, but what I think persons should start to do is learn the difference between the roles of municipal corporations and central government.
Right.
So that if you're passing blame or you're seeking assistance with an issue, you know where to properly channel it.
All right.
Yeah.
I ain't too mad at that. Because I will admit my ignorance as to exactly who is responsible for what under which circumstances. You know, at the end of the day, let's say coming out of local government elections, you have different districts that being locally run by different parties. Right? Don't they still receive funding
from central?
From the same ministry.
I wouldn't say the same ministry, but they receive funding from central government.
Right.
Because
who does the central government allocate the resources to?
The municipal corporation. So be it a borough or a city.
All right. So then I get in city or borough money separate from whatever ministerial needs I might have. Like,
in what way? When they say ministerial needs?
How to do repairs on our school? Who is responsible for that? As in, who in government are going to call some city council and say I want money? Or going to write to the ministry and say I want money?
Oh, you went a little further into this thing now.
No, well, all right. Well, then let me go from where you are.
Yeah, let's stick with the drains and things like that. So garbage collection, cleaning of the drains, all those things would fall under the municipal corporation, either the city or the borough that you reside in. In terms of the fixing of a school, I'm not 100% sure, but I would think that would fall under the ministry's purview.
All right, so bear with me here. All right, let's say, let me stick within the same space for a minute. Box drain, all right, cleaning. Let me say drain cleaning, garbage collection. All right, that fall under the municipality.
Municipality, correct.
Right. The construction of a drain, however, would fall under works or infrastructure or whatever the...
Right, but is this drain, is it a major drain or what is it? And that is where the technicality comes in. So that's what I'm saying. We had to educate ourselves on it. Because the Caroni River had not going and fall under municipality.
Right, fair enough.
Whereas the El Dreno, the first streeto.
Right.
Yeah, right. Is under the municipality. But I don't know. But you know what is under the Cardo purview? Not throwing the old fridge in the drain.
Right.
Or not throwing the empty bottle of water in the drain.
Where were we going when we see a man bust a dotish piece of littering on the bypass way? That was Friday after.
Probably going to the station.
It was going to the station or coming back from the station. And
really?
If I'm not mistaken, I should have taken the number plate, but it was a SUV, ain't?
Probably, yeah. It was our biggest vehicle.
Yeah, and the truck would look like some crumpled ball of paper or something like that.
Now, persons just tend to take the littering thing to some extreme sometimes, huh?
I detest littering in Iran.
Right. But if you're eating an apple cardo.
Right. Wood. Okay, let me go. We went down this way before, but nothing wrong with retraversing.
Right. So if you're eating an apple and you throw the apple core out of your car, that, for me, in my opinion, that is fertilization.
And if okay, I hear you, right? But let me put some parameters to this thing.
Right.
If you're in Gulf City car park and you chuck it out of the window,
that is wrong, because you're throwing it onto an area where it will not naturally fertilize.
So it's okay to chuck your apple core or your
in the bush.
In the bush.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're driving on the highway and you chuck it into the middle of the road, that don't count as the organic, natural fertilization that you're talking about.
Is the middle of the road concrete? Like the concrete barrier?
I mean, like literally the middle of the street on the white line.
No. Understand the question here. Is it the concrete middle of the road or is it the median? That is the grass embankment.
All right. So I'm talking about the middle of the lane that you are on, literally the middle of the road that you are on.
Oh, no, that's wrong.
All right. So what you're saying is, if you had a chuck organic, chuck it in the bush.
Yeah, so it could create a natural compost heap.
All right. Now, here with organic now, my dog dead.
That one I get a little tough for me because I'm not a dog person now.
But it's organic though. All right.
So bury a dog.
So Fluffles, so bury a dog then. You shouldn't do bag it and Tasker.
You know, as you said that, over this weekend while leaving home, they now do some roadworks by me, which were terribly done, I must admit.
All right.
They built a retaining wall and then they filled the road with gravel. But not the yellow gravel, the kind of grayish one. So basically, we now living in the Sahara Desert.
Right.
And so now on one side is the road, and in the middle of the two lane on between my road that takes me to the highway and the road that connects where I live to St. Madeleine, it has some empty land. And I see a dead dog. Naturally decaying because Kobo's coming and Koboing.
Right, yeah.
Kobo's go Kobo.
Carry on.
Right?
See what I did there. You see what I did there?
Yeah, thanks, well done.
Carry on. Carry on as in proceed and By the way, anyway, when you finish, yeah, go ahead. This is me actively listening.
and somebody decide to jump out the car and pick up said dead dog in a plastic bag and throw it back on the side of the road. Because is he see? I don't know. You're watching the dead dog and you see the carcass of the dead dog, but I'm 100% sure that dog can't move 500 feet on its own.
Bear with me. They put the dog into a plastic bag and then redeposited it
Lower down the road.
out of what? Where was it? Was it at the side of the road? Was it in the middle of the road?
Side.
So from the side of the road to 500 meters lower down in the middle of the road. Sorry, on the side. All right.
And here I am wondering.
Sure, it's not two dog.
No, it's not two dogs. It's the same dog.
All right.
God, that one, the dog 500 meters would have be the same level of decay.
Okay, this is me trying to let you finish so I can understand where you're coming from.
Now, my thing about it is, if you chose to clean up now, okay, didn't want the remains of the dog there, then dispose of it properly. Don't move it from one spot and just throw it back somewhere else. Just like if you have your garbage in your yard and that you now clear out that you do renovation work. So instead of the garbage being in your yard, you're going to throw it on the side of the road on the corner. If you're cleaning up, clean up. Dispose of properly.
I agree with what you're saying.
The dog example might be a little off.
No, I get you. It was a personal. It peeved you.
Yeah.
You were irked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do want to acknowledge, while in principle I agree with what you're saying, I do have to acknowledge philosophically, depending on which of our English-speaking regions you're from, pretty much all disposal of garbage is moving it from one place and putting it in the next one. It's really just how apt the final destination really is.
Good, and that's an excellent point as well. Because for some reason,
also plug Final Destination, which apparently there's a Final Destination.
Yeah, there's, and I need to go and see it sometime.
I will not be watching.
Why not?
I already hyper-vigilant, Aaron. I don't need any reminders of how
you don't need to be even.
I don't need it.
You don't need to figure out how that sign on the side of the wall could all of a sudden me or something. Anyway,
I'm looking for that.
Because it honestly it peeves me. I traverse the southbound lane of the highway every single day of the week. Sometimes twice per day.
Right.
And it really peeves me to see persons throwing that old couch on the side of the highway. Or if I'm going through woodland, all of a sudden you clean your drain, but instead of putting the trash in a garbage bag, you leave it on the side of the same drain you just cleaned. And then you'll complain, oh my gosh, the area is flooding. One water bottle may not cause the flood.
Although it might.
But if all the garbage you pull up and heap up right in the drain for it now just to get washed down in a big clump. Come on, man.
Tough and miserable. You ever notice that one bottle cap or cover could cause your whole sink to full? You ever doing dishes and realize
you want to go even more technical, Caro?
Go technical here.
Use a man with beard.
There was a point in time I was well beardedly, yes.
You ever realize that over time the hair from your beard could cause your sink to flood?
Well, my beard was never that it didn't have the richness that yours does, Aaron. But I get let's put it this way. Soon enough you shall also realize how often one's shower needs cleaning. often one shower needs cleaning because of hair, right?
Right, that's a real serious thing.
Is that a serious thing? No,
Yeah.
I don't know if Oli understand where we're coming from with this, but I am going to introduce some accountability and responsibility to this conversation by introducing myself, but reminding Aaron to introduce himself and then introducing me, because we have not done so for the program.
Yeah, boy. This is yours truly, Aaron868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code, and I sit here alongside my bro with no fro, always on the go and in the know.
Something like that. Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage. And when I say global, I mean, we're taking this thing from local to global. We're going international.
I must say a pleasant good, I don't know what time of day it'll be by him. A pleasant good day, good morning, good evening, good night, or whatever it is to our loyal listeners all the way in Turkey.
Don't make joke.
Yeah.
More than one?
Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I know last year we'd interviewed Mohammed Chetinkaya.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we end up keeping a couple listeners since then.
This is Trinidadians who would have migrated to Turkey. Turkey, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that. We famous here. We begin Turkey.
Not really.
No, not so much.
We known.
Over the past couple of weeks, I've been, I don't want to say recognized, but people have been able to connect me to the program, or at least have recognized the program itself with increasing frequency. So I want to say I met the legend Hamidullah on Friday.
Yeah, Mr. One Stick.
And he was very encouraging in terms of what he called our visual magazine. And I really like that.
Mr. Len Maybox.
I stayed out at all the big people.
Brother man, no, that is one of the lines in one of his calypsos.
Then I'm gonna send it to I want to play it at the end of the episode.
No, brother man, that is too early. It is too early for that on an evening. It is too early.
Yeah, but I think it is important that we continue having casual,
healthy discourse
and reasonable conversation, especially in a time where so many people have access to airwaves and don't have the oversight or responsibility. Because while it sounds like you and I pretty much just talk about whatever it is we want, we still have the responsibility of Mr. Phillips' broadcast license and his oversight and his guidance.
So now is the time to say something frivolous.
No. What I'm actually talking about the fact that a lot of people just jump online and airwaves without any responsibility.
And not just responsibility, a lot of persons and these Johnny come lately media houses like to post things without context.
Yeah.
So yesterday, while perusing the internet, the Facebook to be specific, I would have seen a media house, as they call themselves, post traffic on the southbound lane of the highway in the vicinity of Carney. Full stop. That was the post.
Right.
Know what is causing the traffic, or know how far up the traffic has been backed up, or no more information to follow. Just traffic on the southbound by Carney.
Aaron, a lot of modern media is not about news, it's views. So pretty much once you get people to click to see what this picture is, as far as they're concerned, their job is done. That's it. They don't have to inform you, they just have to attract you. And that is what it has boiled down to, that journalism escapes us. That even you and I, Aaron, we opine. Right? We are talking heads, in this case, literally. We run commentary on things, but we still have a responsibility to the listeners to not just run opinion based on how we feel about abstract things. There's a certain amount of information that we have to get on whatever it is we're speaking about before we even come on and say, hey, this is what's happening. So if I was to tell you there was an accident more than likely, we would include information as in what time of day it might have been, which direction the traffic would have been if it was both lanes. We still suggest that there is information to be associated with what we are presenting. And quite frankly, most news houses now are just views houses. That's not even good language, but heist.
It makes sense, you know, the Hollywood heist.
It's more views than news. So,
but because, like, take for example, over the past weekend, there was an article shared by one of our local tabloids about a wall being erected.
The man said tabloid, you know, so that is a daily newspaper you're referencing.
But for me, that kind of article put them in tabloid category.
Wow. Hey. I've been publishing that particular tabloid as an author.
Okay, my apologies.
So I just saying that I get you. I get it. It was disappointing.
Now they have rekindled some sort of credibility that you have been published there. So a local newspaper.
Not as disappointing, however, as the fact that there was a similarity between front pages on two different media houses, on two different newspapers this weekend. And both of them were blows for Barry. Right?
Oh.
You know, it's kind of like, so out of everything that you could have put, both of them come up with the same thing? Somebody postulated that they were instructed to put that. What I'm saying is that, that literally it might have been one of those, all right, jam him. You know? I want you to understand here that media is not just the distribution of information, the collection and distribution of information. A lot of times it's the decision.
You know, that reminds me of something. While attending the prestigious school on the Verdant Hill, right?
Nearly lost your tongue there.
Yeah, but I would have participated and played in a musical called Newsies.
Right.
Depicting the early 1900s battle of the distribution wars between two popular news houses back then. And they would have touted the ability of young persons, young men and women, to sell these peeps, as they would call them. And the young persons would come with the tagline, headlines don't sell peeps, newsies sell peeps.
Right.
Saying that it wasn't just the headlines, it was the persons peddling the headlines. Now in 2025, almost a century and more later, it is just now that it's the headlines that are bringing the clicks. Because I could assure you, no person under the age of 35 is purchasing a newspapers willingly on a daily basis.
Right.
So to attract the target market, you know what you have to do? Make the headline appealing. The story behind it don't matter sometimes, you know.
This, Aaron, it is sometimes completely incomprehensible, whatever it is they're trying to explain to you. Have you ever gotten more confused the further into a story you go?
I haven't read the newspapers in, what year are we in? 2025?
Do yourself that now, right? Boy.
I have not opened a newspaper willingly since probably 2011 or 2012.
I had the honor of recording an interview with Dominic Calipasad a few weeks ago for the mental health podcast that I work on with Jill Valdez, Chit Chat. And in this record, by the way, we also interviewed Kenny the episode before that. So all talks aside, just being in the presence of these media greats has really shaped.
So the episode went downhill and then went back up.
That's all I'm saying. All I say. No, Kenny's episode was fantastic. I think he had all was surprised by the way the episode went. But having been able to spend that time observing the way that Mr. Kalipasad functions, and then even some of the things that he said, I have to wonder which direction our journalism is heading in. And it's not just locally, it's an international thing too. Right? When you ask yourself, Aaron, how educated about the things we're reporting, and I say we, because we in the fraternity, even if we're not journalists per se, right? How educated are journalists reporting on finances about the financial space? Right? How educated on criminology are crime reporters? Do we have reporters who specialize in spaces, or now is a case where we just had to get the story onto the page and across the line, so anybody reporting everything, which means at best we have superficial knowledge. Like what you're right, what is really stopping a daily newspaper from being a tabloid right now?
Now, you see, this is twofold for me, and I'm glad you brought finances into the mix here, because we live in a world where everything is online.
Yeah.
And we dictate that you don't have to pay for it. And bear with me here. So if you avidly follow Barcelona as you do, 80% of the games that you may watch on a streaming platform.
Facts.
So the income that would come to the media house that is a recognized broadcaster is diminishing. So how are they supposed to upkeep the necessary standards if the income is declining? Don't you think something has to waver somewhere?
So what you're saying is that for an organization to function up to the standard that it is capable of, there has to be a relevant or equitable recompense.
Yes.
They cannot expect top tier output without top tier input.
Correct.
All right. Okay. Listen.
Now, with that being said, there is also a level of personal responsibility once involved in the process.
Personal or professional?
Personal and professional. Thank you very much. Because your work speaks for you. So let's just say I'm working on WAC. And I come in to play music every Friday, but every song you hear me play have Caribbean vibes in the background.
Right.
Is my credibility as a DJ now shot or skyrocketing? Same way if I'm writing articles. Do I now turn to say, here we're going, I need to spend 3 weeks to write one article? Or could I write an article a day with the input and influence of ChatGPT?
Right.
It boils down to what you want to put into your profession or your personal development, to what do you expect out of it. Now, the media houses or broadcasting channels have their own responsibility to ensure top tier quality that is put forward.
Do they though?
But
Or they use...
do they see that as a need, or is it that here we're going on, if I publish article X and I get 500 people to click on it, and that translates to 20 US in income, which one more important?
Right. Now, media has almost always been financed by advertising. Right? Always been financed by advertising. It is not the sale of newspapers that pays for newspapers. It is advertising. That is just the math behind it. I understand that with media evolving, with information technology evolving the way that it is and will continue to, it is becoming more difficult for traditional news houses to compete with modern, unconventional news houses. Even individuals, as the case may be. It is getting a lot more important that they get whatever information they can out as quickly as possible to attract what percentage of attention is available as they possibly can. And the challenge with that is that we are getting a lot of quick trash coming out of what's supposed to be reputable spaces. The alternative is that you get information that is researched, cross-checked, referenced a day or two later.
And retractions, if any at all.
Right? The retractions, again, a lot of the times retractions don't happen unless somebody gets threatened with a pre-action protocol, because we get in so much new information, we're not paying attention to the validity of the existing information. The other challenge with that is because so much of the information is online now, you can scrub the presence of information from the internet. You can scrub, depending on what article you're looking for, it could be very, very, very difficult to find it unless you know exactly how to search for it online. You might be searching for a specific incident with a prominent businessman or politician, and all of a sudden that might be on page 6 or 7 of your search. And of course, we all know nobody goes past page 1, and very few people go past page 2.
Unless it's clothes we're looking for.
Exactly. Right? I'm just saying that it is becoming easier to obfuscate information. It is becoming easier to just get away with information being inaccurate or outright untrue, because it's like looking for drops of water in the middle of the sea. You just have so much coming at it. Have no way you're going to be able to find back that thing. Somebody going to dig a horrors because it reflects them in a poor light. They had to pay for a pre-action protocol letter, send it out, and then you print a retraction, which is a fraction of the size of the original accusation or information.
If the retraction is more than the size of an EMA ad or half of that, you're lucky.
Right. So I don't know. It way to be in a space where I don't want to say I'm losing respect for it, but it's almost as if it's losing respect for itself.
I thoroughly agree with that, because one of my big issues here is I'm trying to find the right way to put this across without making persons think I am pro or anti a topic, right? The way in which crime is reported now, the intensity in which it's reported now, as opposed to how it was reported almost a month ago.
Let me ask you a question. In complete support of that statement, don't feel that just detracting or anything from it. In complete
like
support.
normal. Okay, cool.
No. I challenge you because I believe that you have the potential to challenge me. This is all about me, Aaron. This is all about me.
And you know what? That is why you and Kenny becoming friends. That egocentric part of it. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So etiquette, right? Can you tell me, based on newspaper reports over the past, let me say 3 weeks or so, what the murder toll for the year is?
If it's one thing I see, is the front page, because people post it.
Right. But can you tell me, generally we have an idea of a ballpark figure of how many homicides there have been for the year, how many murders, etc.?
There was, yeah. I don't know if it's still the same way.
When last have you even seen an article what it has been? Now, the reason I'm pointing that out is because, let me be frank, the murder rate at the end of the year is not so much about what it has been for the year, but for what it has been for a time span within a political party's term in governance. Short story, the reason that nobody counting how many murders there have been for the year right now is because the new clock is how many happened under the new government's watch so far.
And for me, that is booby jazz.
I just
how long I wanted to use that word.
It sounds like you want to use it a long time, at least 60 or 70 years now. Booby jazz, yes?
Booby jazz. And that's one thing. It purports a level of inequity, of unfair metrics. It's like me saying
statistics.
Exactly. It's like me saying Before Cardo came on the living room, no, the living room had 4 guests. It doesn't matter the period. It doesn't matter who was on it. It's just saying they had 4 guests. Is that correct? Far from. But you know what? It'll sound good because you may want to paint the living room differently pre and post. And I think a lot of us don't understand, as you just said, very so nicely, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Mm-hmm.
We need to pay attention to that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And also, we need to pay attention to what is being said and not being said.
Mm-hmm.
In no way am I saying presence equates productivity.
Mm-hmm.
There's no equilateral thing there. But what I'm saying is, if asked a question about if something is being developed for the nation as a whole, don't say you know about it.
What are you talking about here?
A work from home policy.
Okay.
Which under previous administration was put forward as something they would be working on 3 years ago.
No.
Was it a shortfall of that previous administration to not put it into practice? Yes.
Especially considering that we were forced to do so for 2 years.
Exactly. So 3 years later, we still don't have a policy. And yet still now on social media, persons are asking the now Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Issasa, if you are working from home, what's going on with the national work from home policy?
You know what kind of weird, Aaron?
What's that?
You know what kind of weird? Now imagine a family where everybody eating dinner, somebody couch, some in the bedroom, somebody in the gallery, everybody eating dinner where they feel like, right? Wherever convenient for them. And then they implement a need for the family to come eat at the dining table for 2 years. Right?
Right.
The entire family comes to eat at the dining table for 2 years. And then at the end of that 2-year period, we do have a proper dining table to eat at. It's the absurdity that we've done something for so long as a community, as a nation, and that years after having ceased from doing it, we still didn't have a proper template for the thing that we had done that long. You realize how absurd it is that in 2025, we could be raising the question of a work from home policy after the country did it for 2 years? Like, I don't even think the issue is, no, I personally find that as somebody who has assumed one of the highest offices in the country, and it is a public servant office, and one that optics do matter, I would like to see some of what it is being said is being done. And your presence definitely encourages a certain amount of confidence and a certain amount of assuredness
in the ability to do the job.
Right. And I'm holding that up against, now this is not about my personal feelings, I'm talking about the fact that the visibility of your leader says a lot about the confidence that not just the citizens have in the country, but that other countries have in the country. Right now, President Biden put out a release over the weekend about his diagnosis with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. This weekend that came out on the news.
No, but he's not ex-president anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, once you had the title, you're allowed to be you are referred to by the title. It have no ex-president Obama. It's President Obama until he dead. Right? It's President Biden until he dead. So
My
President
apologies.
No worries. So President Biden, who a year ago, or just over a year ago, was in contention for the leadership of the United States of America, right? Stepped down under questions of his well-being, and a year later, he's released this diagnosis with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. If we are not seeing our leadership, it leaves room for people to question why.
And speculate.
It does not build confidence. It does not suggest to an investor that this is a space that I could spend money in for the next 5 to 10 years. It does not say to professionals within the country that this is a place where I could stay and try to work things out instead of taking the opportunities that exist for me abroad. What I'm saying is, I don't care how much work you actually do at home. You are still required to present yourself publicly.
Or in Trini terms, show your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
sorry, I just had to say that.
Yeah, no, I just saying it's not an unrealistic expectation. And let's put it this way. For anybody who looking to believe that we just critical of any party or position one way or another, guys, just go back to any of the episodes of the Living Room that on DJ Aaron868 YouTube channel. Look under the Living Room playlist. There are 152 visual episodes, and somewhere in on the internet or in hard drive somewhere, we have maybe 100 audio episodes that we had recorded before then, right? But we have been critical, analytical, and we've even celebrated the performances of every and anybody in every and any office in the country.
Correct is right.
Right. But let me be real. How many of Kenny Phillips' events could Kenny Phillips be absent from before you start wondering if everything okay with Kenny Phillips?
Just now, wait. And I'm glad you use Kenny as an example. I remember during the pandemic, Kenny, I can't remember what show, whose show it was, and Kenny left me to host the show.
Yeah.
He had to go wherever and do something, and I had to host the show. And he said he would have been there about an hour and a half, 2 hours into the show. And you know what happened for that hour and a half that Kenny wasn't there?
Bombarded with questions as to his whereabouts.
As to where's Kenny?
Mm-hmm.
I remember Saturday morning I worked for Alpha. That is at 6 o'clock Saturday morning, which oh my gosh, was one of the hardest shifts to wake up and do. And people would be calling, where's Alpha? Is Alpha okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, he's already just took the weekend off. He's cool. So far more, and that's our radio station we're talking about, where you just spending 4 hours with the person, or during the pandemic, we was just providing entertainment every evening from 6 to 9 or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
So far more for our country. I saw someone liking that if you now start a job as a CEO,
right,
you think you could stay home for a week?
No, again, a CEO still has to answer to a board. There is accountability that exists.
Our Prime Minister answer to the people?
Do they?
That is a whole other conversation that I can't have on it.
You understand the importance of journalistic integrity, because if it's one organization, one entity that is supposed to hold a country accountable, it is media.
But and this is the thing why I preluded this by saying I don't want to seem pro or anti.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look at a prime example as one of our most controversial media personalities in Trinidad and Tobago. One Akash Samaru.
Mm-hmm.
Watch how his line of questioning has been consistent. Some would say consistently bad, some would say consistently good, some would say consistently targeted, some will say consistently all over the place. But it has, but he has been consistently questioning the leadership of our country from since COVID to present. And according to a podcast that I listen to, the Corey Shepherd podcast, so the man say, good thing Akash have a wife. Because one party don't love him, the next party don't love him. So thank God the wife did love you.
Hey, listen, is it, and this is Daisy catch for this place. So this man will do the exact same thing.
Regardless of who.
And it is received very differently.
Correct is right.
This is why I say media is important, and I don't just mean in terms of journalism. I don't just mean journalism. Right? Media is important. I don't think people take the fact that people trust us. They don't take it seriously enough.
And you know what was testament to the fact that, like, what raised the bell for me that people trust us? Those different interactions that I would have posted online when I used to be posting the Random Woman Chronicles.
Yeah.
And there was one that took place down Point Fortin this year for Borough. Not the Juve morning when all you see me in the middle of the road.
Which is double.
Oh yeah. I don't. The camera angles is a little off when he had to take my role anyhow. But when I went back down Point the evening for our company's corporate Borough Day celebrations or whatever you want to call it, a lady approached me, and I was in a rush because I came from Port of Spain down to Point, had to do that performance with Joshua, and then we were headed back up to Port of Spain again. Right? The lady stopped me, and she's like, I watched you on TV this morning. It's like, you watch me on TV? She said, yeah, me and my family are avid WAC listeners. We watch you on TV. I said, all right, cool. She's like, and
WAC listeners.
She's like, and I wanted to tell you that I am proud that I met you. I said, okay, thank you very much. The honor is mine. And then she proceeded to start to tell me her life story. And I was like, okay, ma'am, I can't listen to the whole life story. Hit me the abridged version. And she was saying, no. She advocates for youth. And she's like, to see new faces broadcasting the things that she loves is heartwarming to her.
Right.
And she said the new faces are not broadcasting it in the same way. So we are now inputting our own style in it. So she used Pan, for example. She says she could have never sit down and listen to the commentary on Pan because they just try to talk too much Pan.
Right.
She said with me and Marcus and I, sorry, I'm not going to say me and Marcus. That would have been very wrong of me.
Me and Marcus.
With Marcus and I, we talk Pan people. And allow the Pan people to talk Pan.
Right, okay, cool.
And here I am sitting.
That's a nice mix.
And she's like, she said to me, it warms her heart to know that we have rekindled her love for something that she lost because, as you say, of the decline in the standard, or not just the decline, they're trying to not superimpose, but they are trying to come across as they know too much.
Yeah, because not everybody who likes to listen to Pan has a doctorate in music.
Exactly. Or even as she objected to, as I was telling her, okay, ma'am, I need to leave now. She was saying, even with the Kaiso, I don't want to hear somebody dissect a Kaiso. Let me dissect the Kaiso on my own and let the judges do that.
Right.
Tell me about a comparison of what one person sang to something else so much ever years ago. Tell me how the crowd receive it. Make me feel like I there. But don't try to dissect the Kaiso.
Right, so make it as much about the experience as it is about the education.
Yeah. And then she said she looks forward to next year. And I was like, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for your feedback. And I know we getting perilously close to the hour of 7 p.m. here. So I'll just share this other story. And there's a gentleman that I met in Separia Feast Day celebrations while failing miserably at Hoopla. Like when I say failing,
wish, oh my God, for that alone, I should have come. I know to see you try to Hoopla. Listen, Aaron, you have no idea how me capturing that on film was going to shape our friendship for the rest of our lives, you know. You doing Hoopla, listen, that was going to be a sticker, right? That was going to be a GIF or a GIF, depending on who you talk to. I was going to use that in everything I could have possibly used it in. That would have been the rainbow corned beef. That would have been the Diana Power Mint, or Nutcracker, as the case may have been. It would have been the Najib Elias ad. It would have been an iconic statement of why you shouldn't let your partners on them film here. But anyway, go ahead. You listen. I'm sorry, you go ahead. I'm actively listening. Watch, I confusing myself. It was a yellow hula hoop or a fluorescent green one?
I said hoopla.
Oh, hoopla, not hula hoop. Oh.
You just went off on a tangent about the wrong thing.
Wrong. Hey, don't listen. Just the idea of you doing a hula hoop, Aaron. Aaron, you'll do that for charity? How much you care about the kids? You'll hula hoop for charity?
I have done some weird things for charity already. Namely, I have sat on a dunk tank.
Boy, yes. As have I. Right?
And I can't swim either, but
I want to apologize to the listeners for implanting in your minds the idea of Aaron whining in a giant plastic circle. Right? When all the man was doing was trying to catch the ketchup, the VAT-19, or the non-alcoholic wine, as opposed to the mayonnaise. Listen, hoopla, also known as ring toss, right, is not the same thing as hula hooping. I stand corrected, and I apologize. But I stand by my statement as well. Had I caught you, if I ever catch you hula hooping, Aaron, it will be iconic in the history of Trinidad and Tobago's culture.
I'll give you this one story now.
As you will, sir.
Right, so as I was feeling miserably at hoopla, aka ring toss, and when I say feeling miserably, like they moved the blocks and I still couldn't get. Yeah, it was that bad. But anyway, a gentleman walked up to me and introduced himself as Crix and said he enjoyed the music that I play on a Friday and then by extension the conversations that we have on a Tuesday. And he listens avidly to WAC as well. So I must say a pleasant good evening going out to the Palaseco clan, the Palaseco family that listens to WAC.
You big up Crix, man.
As you continue to listen to the feedback of the listeners when you go out there to do the jobs, you realize how important what WAC does is to, according to the MFO survey, the 1% of the population. But WAC is extremely important because we do get down into the extensive journalism. We get down into the extensive culture of Trinidad and Tobago, which is a journalistic privilege on its own. Nowhere else you could go, and in the middle of the day, 11:47 a.m., you randomly hearing Ride the White Horse.
I was actually thinking Sandoli Iron, but I get you.
I just went for something totally weird.
I don't find it that weird, Aaron.
So I don't find like that song.
That's something about that song, buddy.
I don't know what it is about that song that you like.
The haunted melody, actually.
Probably it's a little creepy. They could have used that in Final Destination.
Yeah, facts. Hard facts. Hard facts.
Nah, but really and truly, guys, the rainy season, it looks like it's upon us. The hurricane season is about to start.
Yeah,
and I saw
a pressure system already come off the coast of Africa.
Correct, is right. And if you have been paying attention to weather systems over the years, they have been forming lower and lower and lower. So if you have never taken heed of a hurricane season, let this be the year that you do. Buy them batteries. Keep some drinking water.
That's right.
Put your documents in something safe.
Waterproof. At a
Waterproof.
place where you could access it.
Yeah. Pack that go bag.
Yeah.
And not the go bag to go double palm we talking here. The go bag for safety.
Also, as best as possible, only I know things tougher. As best as possible. You see, every week you make your little groceries. Try and put aside, buy one extra item, something canned, or again, make sure and keep a can opener because people end up buying a lot of canned goods for the emergency kits and just can't open them. Right? But start to pick up a little item, one. 1 week you pick up some candles. Next week you pick up some batteries. The next week you pick up.
And totally related to that, if you pick up them things, don't use them.
Yeah, boy.
Or if you use it, replace it. Because I not go online, I just buy the batteries and put them down. And then my remote go dead and I need batteries.
That's self.
And for some reason, like whenever you buy batteries, when the remote is all of a sudden need batteries.
Yeah, always. It's like car parts. As soon as
no, car parts different, brother man. As soon as you get a little extra dust.
Yeah, they just detect.
Yeah, boy.
There's dust detectors. Right? But guys, at the end of the day, let's prepare for, I'm seeing it in capitals. Let's prepare for what could be a very challenging rainy season.
All right, here now. If this, and my thing is, for some strange reason, once we cross 25 millimeters of rain, or even a torrential downpour for an hour, it have flood. So far more for 2 to 3 days straight of rain.
Right. No, on that note, guys, this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage. Thanking you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. So whatever you're doing, be good, stay safe, and prepare. Aaron?
And this is yours truly, Aaron868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code. And I also tell you that love is the currency, so spend some today. Let somebody know you love them, guys. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. And remember, we will be heading across to Tobago from the 12th to the 15th of June. And when I say we, it's really like the 3 people you just hear and going to hear. Tony P, me, and Mr. Desmond.
Ah, boy.
It was rhyming. Tony P, me. And
Mr. D?
Mr. D.
ESMOND.
Yeah. Right? So we heading across to Tobago. If you haven't done so as yet, get your tickets and contact WAC 90.1 FM on social media or 652-9774 for any further information. Or if you're in the States, Super Travel.
Super doing things, man.
Supat.
Supat doing things.
Yeah. Super was in Superior last week.
Blue?
Yeah. And mash up the face, please fine like chili BB.
Noted.
Yeah, he's a boss still. Anyway, keep it locked to the True Nation station. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band.
Keep it locked.